Hello everyone, my name is Ram and welcome to Sprint Master. Today we are going to talk about how to solve a coding question in a technical interview. Before we jump into our topic, let me ask you a trick question today. What is the number of the parking space covered by the car in this picture? If you know the answer, great. If not, keep thinking about the question. I will reveal the answer at the end of this video. So without wasting any minute, let's get into our topic. Okay, how to solve a coding question in a technical interview. In a technical interview, you are supposed to solve a problem which you may never have seen that before. And trust me, it is not easy as it may sound like. For many candidates, when they were asked a question in an interview to which they don't know the answer, they will feel nervous and it blocks their thought process. I am in a similar boat and I know how it feels like. If not in an interview, I can solve a question. But if the same question is asked in an interview, my brain ditches me and doesn't respond. If you feel the same way, this video is for you guys. For any interview, the interviewer is trying to understand how you approach the problem. Of course, they expect you to solve the problem, but it doesn't mean that they care only about your end solution. Like you, they are just the employees of the company to which you are interviewing with. They need some anecdotes to prove that you are a good fit for the company. So how do you prove that you are a good fit for the company? It can happen only if you speak out your mind and give your best shot at these interviews and make the interviewer believe that you can solve any problem given some proper guidance. Interviewers don't just ask any random question. They ask the questions which can be solved within the given time frame. In fact, if they are asking you a complex problem, they don't expect you to solve the problem entirely. Instead, they focus on your approach and how well you understand the problem. From my experience, it is important for you to understand the question properly. In fact, that is the most essential ingredient to make your interview a successful one. How do I understand the question? You do that by asking clarifying questions. Now, what are clarifying questions? Let me take this example and explain that to you. Consider the following problem. Find the number of pairs in a given array which adds up to a given sum. When you are asked this question, you might think that this is a very simple problem. But is it really? Let's see what I mean. Consider the following example. Take this array of 6 elements and find the pairs which adds up to the sum 7. Here is the array. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The array is already sorted. So what are the possible pairs here? You can see that 1, 6, 2, 5, 3, 4 are the possible pairs which can give you a sum of 7. So the total number of pairs which adds up to the sum 7 is 3. This is pretty straightforward, right? How do we solve this problem? We can solve this problem by having two pointers, one at the left end and one at the right end, and move the pointers to the center. If the sum of the two values at the pointers is greater than 7, we move the right pointer to the left, and if the sum is less than 7, we move the left pointer to the right. When both pointers collide, the total number of pairs you have counted so far, that is your answer. This keeps the time complexity at O of n. Now that we have looked at a sorted array, what about if the array is not sorted? An example would be 1, 5, 3, 6, 2, 4. The immediate solution you may jump into can be to sort this array first and then follow the same approach as the one before. In order to do the sorting, it can take at least O of n log n if you consider the best sorting algorithms like merge sort or a quick sort. What happens if there are some duplicates? Consider this example of the array 1, 1, 1, 6, 6, 6. If you use the same approach as above, you will end up with just 3 pairs by moving pointers, when in fact the total number of pairs possible is 9. Confused? Let me explain. In this example, even though the only pair that adds up to 7 is 1, 6, the combination is possible in multiple ways. You can consider the positions 0, 3, 0, 4, 0, 5, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5. So you can clearly see that the previous approach doesn't work in this case. So how do you solve this problem? One way you can solve for it is by using brute force technique, by just checking each and every possible pair, which leaves you with a time complexity of O of n square. But is it the optimal solution? The other way to approach the problem would be to first create a hash map for all the numbers in the array. The keys will be the elements of the array, while the values will be the total number of occurrences of that particular element in this array. And then iterate over the key set with the same approach as the one above. When a match with a sum of 7 is found, you multiply the number of occurrences of the first number with the second, and boom, you get the answer you want. Now what if there are negative numbers in this given array? What if the numbers are real numbers? And what is the size of this array? Come on, you get the idea, right? It has endless alternatives unless you ask the right questions. Without this information, you cannot solve this problem. In fact, the questions in these interviews are designed to be ambiguous to see if you ask the right questions before jumping into any conclusions. You asked all the clarifying questions and you understand the problem. Now what? You start talking. Talk what? You should be thinking of some solution when you first heard the question, right? You should speak out whatever you are thinking. Even if it is a brute force solution, just say it loud. In an interview, when you are asked a question, you may not know the optimal solution right away. It's okay. You just have to speak out whatever the simplest solution that gets to your mind when you hear the question. Consider the same example as before. Find the total number of pairs in an array which adds up to a given sum. When you first hear this question, the optimal solution may not strike your mind. But the simplest solution to this problem would be to have two loops, iterate over this array and find each and every possible pair which adds up to a given sum. The time complexity of this approach would be O of n square. Once you put out the brute force technique, now you can think of how you can reduce the time complexity down. That's how you should approach the problem. Remember, brute force technique is better than no solution at all. Okay, you came up with some solution. Now what? You write the code. While you write the code, you have to talk through your code and explain that code to your interviewer to keep him involved and be in the process. When you write the code, focus on the essential piece of the code, probably a function with a specified input and output, rather than focusing on the import statements and declaring the main method, etc. etc. If you focus the code to the function you are writing, then you can make a better use of the time. Once you write the code, before you conclude that it is good enough, take a small example and test through your code. I know it is hard to test the code when you are writing on a whiteboard or some kind of a collaboration tool where there are no formatting options at all. But testing is an essential piece of coding. A code without a test is always dangerous. So don't ever commit to a code without testing. Okay, we are almost to the end of the video. Now let's recap what we have learned so far. When you are given an interview question, ask clarifying questions and understand the scope of the problem completely. Come up with the brute force technique if you can't find an optimal solution yet. Always speak out what you are thinking. Once you have the approach, start writing the code and explain while you write, and give out the time complexity at the end. And finally, test the code with some examples before you commit to the code. Alright, with that I am going to wrap up today's session. And before we leave, let's take a look at the trick question I have asked you in the beginning of this video. And the question is, what is the number of the parking space covered by the car in this picture? While this may seem to be some kind of a mathematical question, which is in some form of series, the answer is actually simpler than you may think. Just flip the image and take a look. You see the answer, right? It is 87, which is covered by the car, and the parking spaces are all in sequence. This video with your friends. Also, make sure you subscribe to our channel Sprint Master so that you don't miss any bit. And click on the bell icon next to the subscribe button to get notified of our new videos. As always, thanks for watching this video and catch you all in the next video. Take care you all until then. Bye bye.